This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. A lot of hard work from everyone here, all the different channels, and we appreciate your support. And lots to go over from yesterday, the very exciting Monday Night Football game, 10-7 win for the Eagles on the road. And also NBA to go over. And I guess we'll start right there, Lee, with the NBA and start with the late night hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
Nuggets and the Kings, they will wrap up the night, the late night NBC game from Sacramento, 11 o'clock Eastern time. So, Lee, what do you like here? Nuggets are favored on the road against the Kings, but a very high total as well.
Yeah, and usually if you see a low total, more times than not, goes under, high total goes over. So let's first look at Sacramento Kings and their defense. Well, there isn't much of it at all. In fact, they gave up 144 points just the other night to Minnesota. I can see the Nuggets scoring 135, 145 here easily. They play fast. They average 102.6 possessions per 48 minutes. That ranks fourth in the NBA. They just run up and down the court like a chicken with their head cut off. I mean, just got to be honest. When you have Russell Westbrook on your team and you start this guy, especially at this age, you're asking for trouble. So just sometimes just goes up and down the court, has no plan. Dennis Schroeder, the point guard. What you have is you have 2 point guards on a team, and they just don't know how to run offenses, and they can't shoot anymore. So that's a problem. Zach LaVine, nice scorer, doesn't play any defense. So let's look at Denver. The Joker, how has he done for the Kings versus the Kings? Tortured them. Last game, 34 points, 14 assists. Went 14 for 22 from the field. Even 4 for 10 from deep. Last year, he averaged almost 25 points per game, over almost 16 rebounds, and almost 12 assists. So he dominates play here. Looks like they will have back Jamal Murray and also Aaron Gordon. You got to check injuries, very important here. And I think you just have two teams going up and down the court and not many defensive players on the court here. And that's the way Sacramento likes to play, and they feel that's the way that they can win, and that's why they're 3-7. We're going to take over the posted total here. This should go. I mean, I'm seeing I think this total might even rise. I'm seeing right now 242.5. Let's go over that. I could see 250, 260 scored easy here. Should be an easy winner for us to start the Tuesday.
And in the first matchup this season, Denver won, again, another high-scoring game, 130-124 in Denver. So we'll see if that happens again. Give you this little nugget, Lee, about Denver, that Nikola Jokic, since the opening game against Golden State, he struggled from the floor. He's shooting 70% from the floor since the season opener. So he has just been outstanding. He is outstanding. We know all of his numbers speak for themselves. So we'll see if Denver keeps it up tonight in Sacramento for the late night tip-off. All right. Last night, Lee, the Eagles hold off the Packers 10-7 at Lambeau. Scoreless game at the half. And Philadelphia, they sneak one out there. And look, they've won at Green Bay. They've won at Tampa Bay. They got some good road wins on the resume, and one of the picks you had fell just a little short. You had the Jalen Hurts rushing prop. Finished, it was 27.5, and he finished at 27.
Painful. I mean, he's sitting there with that number early in the third quarter. Should have gotten there, just for some reason or another, didn't. I mean, didn't do the tush push enough. I think they only did it once the whole game. All we needed was 2 tush pushes, and we would hit the total. But he was running early and often and just stopped. Saquon Barkley got hot, had that big, well, it wasn't a screen, flare that he took for a long gainer and was running the ball well. So they didn't need him running. But one of those days where defense was king, and also thought that, wow, I mean, Green Bay just can't get it done. The play calling by Matt LaFleur I thought was horrendous. Just you got to use the middle of the field, and just didn't use the middle of the field. And Jordan Love, man, has he regressed. So if you have him on fantasy like I do, boy, you've struggled, especially the last couple of weeks. So Green Bay, people keep talking about them, once they made the trade for Micah Parsons being a contender. I think they were bet down from like 15, 16 to 1 down to 8 or 10 to 1. They're not looking so good anymore. A lot of really good teams in the NFC, but I don't count Green Bay as one of them.
So looking at the standings in the NFC, Philadelphia, Seattle, and the Rams all at 7-2. Seahawks play the Rams coming up on Sunday in LA, and the NFC East race is over because Dallas, Washington, and the Giants are all out of it. Detroit and Chicago are 6-3. I think the Bears may be a little bit smoke and mirrors the last few weeks, beating the Bengals, Giants. Games they definitely should have lost, but Green Bay at 5-3-1. The Vikings, they got problems at the quarterback position. They're at 4-5. But Detroit, though, there's some of these games, Lee, with them that they have not looked good, or they look like Super Bowl champions. Like that's kind of what it is with the Lions so far this year.
Well, they need to get some guys healthy in defensive backfield. Their offense, I think, is the best maybe in the NFL. So they're so dangerous there. But you know what it is? You can't win if you don't have defense. Defense in the end rules the day, and that's why they lost in the playoffs. I think they were down 7 or 8 starters and just couldn't stop the Washington Commanders. So if they get guys back, they have a chance. But, I mean, what a race. I mean, so many good teams. There's 4 or 5 teams that could win the NFC. So the NFC is absolutely loaded, whereas on the other side, it looks like it's going to end up being probably Buffalo, Kansas City, maybe Baltimore, but I can't trust Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
Do you give Denver any shot, or they're smoke and mirrors too at 8-2?
No offense. I mean, they should have made a trade. If they go for Breece Hall, I said Breece Hall was their guy. They weren't going to get a difference maker at receiver. They couldn't prize someone like Jalen Waddle away. So why go for a guy that's a number 2 on another team? So to me, that was, Breece Hall. You got Breece Hall is that good. You put him on a good team on Denver, and then they have a chance. But you got to take a shot when you got it, and they just didn't want to take the shot. They didn't want to pay the asking price. That defense is scary good, but in the playoffs, you're not going to hold Kansas City or someone like Buffalo to under 2 touchdowns. It's just not going to happen.
Fair to say this. I'm going to ask you this question now. New England, Indianapolis, and Denver all are 8-2. Do any of those 3 make the AFC Championship?
So you said New England, no. Who's the second team?
Indianapolis.
No.
Denver.
No.
It's interesting. 3 teams with the best record in the NFL, and you don't think any of them are going to the conference championship.
Well, 2 you play also. I think Chicago, look at their schedule from here on out. I think they're a team to fade. So, they're playing hard. They're getting some takeaways, but they just don't have the talent, and they're going to face some teams that are more fundamentally sound than they are. And, when teams can run and stop the run, and, Williams eventually is going to crap out. Just hate to say it. Let's be honest. So he's improved some, but, got a great coach in him. But bottom line is, his scrambling and throwing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs, when guys are trying to get open, probably not going to work out.
And the other thing, too, with Chicago, just talking about them for a quick second, the Bengals game, I know they were up big most of the way, and then the Bengals came back and the Bears had that late touchdown. But they beat Las Vegas and Washington at the end, too. 2 not so good teams. They beat them by a point each. So pretty much if you want to throw in the Minnesota game at the beginning of the year, they should have won. They've had 4 games that could have gone either way that went their way and one that went against them. So 6-3, maybe they're probably more of like a 5-4, 4-5 team. I think it's fair to say, right?
Look at their schedule. Look, they got to play pretty much division opponents more than half their games from here on out. So that spells trouble.
Yeah, they still have to play the Packers twice. They got to play the Lions at home. They got to go to San Francisco. They go to Philadelphia on Black Friday. They got Minnesota this week. Even Pittsburgh at home, isn't easy. So, it should be interesting to see how the Bears do. But right there, tied for first with the Lions or atop the NFC North going into this week. Coming up, Lee, we still have plenty to get to. We have another NBA game. We have a college basketball game as well. And we'll look ahead to Saturday's battle in the Big Ten between USC and Iowa. All of that is straight ahead as we continue this Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, and that's right, football season continuing, so only one place to go. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So what can you bet on? So many things, starting with the NFL, Week 11 beginning this week. Jets and the Patriots. New York has caught a little bit of fire of late. But what about New England? You know who they have in New England? They have, who would have thought we'd say this? They have the MVP favorite at FanDuel right now, at least the co-favorite, Drake May. And he's at 3-1 along with LA's Matthew Stafford for the most valuable player award. So we'll see if that's the case. But you want to bet on Drake May right now, you can do that, 3-1 odds at FanDuel. Also, you can look at his passing prop for Thursday's game against the Jets. Another big Sunday coming up in the NFL. A couple games that are very important, including the Seahawks and the Rams in LA atop the NFC West. So a lot of big games you could bet on, sides, totals, money lines, all of that. And right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. AFC champion, NFC champion, Super Bowl champion, all those. You have so many choices at FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We continue here, Locked On Bets. Now on the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We appreciate your support. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you as we continue looking at the NBA here on this Tuesday, Lee. And it's time now for our wrong team favorite.
What the fuck?
WTF.
I cashed last night with the Wizards here. They did not get the outright win against the Pistons, but lost in overtime, getting 11. So we'll go with another underdog here, Lee. And we're going to take the Golden State Warriors, getting 7.5 at Oklahoma City. Stephen Curry expected back in the lineup for Golden State. He's missed the last 3 games, and the Warriors lost 2 of them. The only win was over Indiana, who has 1 victory this season. Kind of a fall from grace for them. But Oklahoma City back from a 4-game road trip. They went 3-1. The Thunder have been fantastic. It's like they haven't had any drop from last year's run to win the NBA title. But a couple things here on Golden State. The Warriors are 0-5 so far this season on the road. All right, so they've had their struggles. Actually, 1-5, I should say, on the road so far this season. They beat the Lakers in the opener, and they've lost the 5 games since. With Stephen Curry in the lineup, they have not been a road underdog. They lost to Denver and Sacramento without Steph, but at Indiana laying 11, lost. At Milwaukee laying 7.5 when Giannis was out, lost. At Portland laying 2.5 in the second of a back-to-back, lost by 20. Now you're getting a bunch of points here against Oklahoma City. They're coming off a great defensive effort against Indiana, and I understand that the Pacers aren't as good as they were last year, but still I think this is a good spot to back Golden State getting this amount of points. I like the Warriors here, Lee, against the Thunder as our wrong team favorite.
I like it too. And Steph Curry could have a big game. He's expected back here. You know, players like him, they in spurts, just like Jimmy Butler, on primetime TV, they love to show out. So I expect one or both of those guys to have a big game here. And teams coming off winning a title, they kind of have a tendency to coast. I know it's a national TV game, and they'll be covering it. Everyone will be talking about it. But bottom line here is they're good, Oklahoma State, but not the greatest champion we've seen of all time. They're not just going to keep blowing people out and covering these huge lines. We've seen it over and over again. After teams win the title, the next year, almost always, they have losing spread records. So I think it's a good shot here. And like I said, sprinkle a little on that money line. You hit a money line dog like this, pays off big.
Yeah, and we'll see if Golden State can do that tonight, heading out on the road. So we go from that to college basketball. BYU, they've gotten a lot of recognition here early in the season. They are heavy favorites tonight against Delaware, and it's time now for our blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
All right, Lee, the BYU Cougars, they are laying a few touchdowns tonight against Delaware. This should be a fun one here. And BYU, what are your thoughts on them this evening? I know you had them against Villanova. They didn't cover in their opener. They won, didn't cover. But now taking on Delaware, the Blue Hens, heading out to Provo. And Lee, what do you like here with this game?
Well, they like to play fast, and they like to push the tempo, which is important if you're going to cover a huge number here of 35 points. And they hit shots, and also hit shots from deep. They scored 98 points in the 98-53 domination of Holy Cross. Didn't cover the first game, but this is a type of opponent I think that they can dominate here. They also hold opponents under 40% shooting. That's not 40% from three-point land, 40% shooting. They force turnovers. They're not just going to sit back and pack a zone or anything like that. So they like to play up-tempo. AJ Despanja, the star freshman, can really score. Also, Richie Saunders and Rob Wright III. I think they give BYU here a whole lot of firepower. You look at Delaware, and Delaware, they play, a lot of people don't even realize they play in the American. So they're a team that I just don't think is very good. The roster isn't constructed, I don't think, properly. They have multiple injuries to some of their key players here, including preseason all-conference guard, Caven Riley. So without him, I don't think they have a whole lot of depth, and their defense unable to slow down an opponent here, and also going on the road. You're playing at altitude. There's a lot of layers to this game. So sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it here. I'm going with a blowout special. This might be a 45-50 point win here for BYU. I think they score above 100 here in this game. I am winning. My algorithm has them winning something like 108-54. So we're going to lay the 35 points here. Blowout special. BYU Cougars at home, big time over the Delaware Blue Hens.
Yeah, Delaware making the change to Conference USA this year. We saw it in football and now in basketball, moving out of the CAA after a very long stretch. So can't wait for those Delaware FIU games in basketball coming up this season. All right. The other thing, too, with BYU, Lee, is that after this, they go to Boston to play UConn Saturday night. So we'll see how that one turns out. Really quick on this. I don't know if you noticed this or not. And there's a lot going on over the weekend with college football. But UConn, they struggled in their opener against New Haven, who was a new team that's coming up. I mean, they end up winning, convincingly, but it wasn't the blowout that Dan Hurley would have wanted. So I don't know what Dan Hurley said after the game or through practice. They played UMass Lowell, their second game. They were up like 59-10 in the first half. It was something insane, and just rolled them like, okay, now we'll get it together. So UConn and BYU, that should be a really good game coming up on Saturday at TD Garden. The college football lock, that is coming up next, and we're going to look ahead to USC and Iowa. And Iowa, off their tough loss to Oregon in the rain, back on Saturday, a game they thought they had in the bag. I mean, think about that. Oregon and Indiana were on the ropes, both on the road. Both came back late and won those games. So we'll see if Iowa can bounce back here against SC. That is up next. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Tuesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And Locked On Network is now the #1 sports podcast network. So we thank you again for tuning in. And Lee, it's time now for our lock of the day, looking ahead to Saturday's matchup in the Big Ten between USC and Iowa.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Saw, Lee, the Big Ten standings. I think it was probably after the Oregon-Iowa game. And I just got to go over this really quick before we get to the pick. So Indiana 7-0, Ohio State 6-0, USC 5-1, Oregon 5-1, Michigan 5-1. Just an amazing top five there. And USC had that last second loss to Illinois, their only defeat. Michigan lost to USC, their only defeat. Oregon lost to Indiana, their only defeat. And Indiana and Ohio State don't play each other until potentially the Big Ten championship. So that's what we're looking at. Iowa's 4-2 in the conference, and Iowa making the trip out to the Coliseum. Lee, what do you like here with the Trojans and the Hawkeyes?
Oh, well, first you got to look at, does a team have motivation and can they get into the college football playoff when you look at this game? It's important. I mean, Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, was talking about, I think he held a press conference yesterday where he said something like he thought there was a path where 8 SEC teams could make the playoff. I mean, is he out of his mind? Missouri's not making it. Vanderbilt's not making it now. I mean, it's just not happening. Tennessee, are you kidding me? I think they're locked into 5 teams. Well, I see a path here, believe it or not, where we could see legitimately 4 and maybe 5 Big Ten teams making it. And USC is one of them. So they got to win out. So what they've got to do is they're going to have to win this game at home. They are going to have to win at Oregon. Don't say it's not impossible. And then they're going to have to come back home. And I think they'll take care of UCLA. If they win out, they're ranked number 17. I think they're in. I think there's no doubt about it. Win at Oregon will move them up from 17 in the AP poll into the top 12. And they wouldn't have to play in the Big Ten championship game. Almost for sure we're looking at Indiana against an Ohio State team, which should be great. So don't have to play that extra game. Their quarterback here, Jaden Mayaba, 17 touchdowns through the air. Also 6 more running the football. There's a reason USC told Miller Moss, or at least he figured it out pretty quickly, bye-bye, see ya. Don't let the door hit you, you know what? And he goes to Louisville. Hasn't looked great. So there's a reason why Miller Moss was kicked to the curb or told, you can leave. You're not going to play here. Their top 2 running backs, King Miller and Wayman Jordan, combined for over 1,200 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, and get this, they're averaging their top 2 running backs 7.9 and 6.5 yards per carry. Their top 3 receivers are averaging between 15 and 17 and a half yards a reception with 13 touchdowns. This is an explosive team. This is a team that can score in one play. And Iowa, I just don't see it. They're a slow, plodding team still. They need 8, 10, 12, 15 plays a lot of times to score. USC's defense, I think, is finally, I wouldn't say up to championship standards, but much improved. They average almost 3 sacks per game. They average 1 interception per game. And then you got to look at, where is Iowa emotionally? They're off a crushing loss. Losing to Oregon, last play of the game on the field goal, when they had the lead, they had battled back and taken the lead, I think took a ton out of them. They're out of the playoffs now. They don't have a shot. This is their first trip to the West Coast. Last year, they went to UCLA. They won, but didn't cover, didn't come close. And USC at home, how good are they? 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. The only non-cover was a Michigan State 75-yard touchdown pass with less than 3 minutes to go in that game, or else they're sitting at a perfect 5-0 here. So many different layers here. I think USC routes Iowa. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. Level 2 lock. USC Trojans by double digits over the Iowa Hawkeyes on Saturday.
And you see how close Iowa's coming in a lot of these games. A 2-point loss to Oregon, lost by 5 to Indiana, and obviously a non-conference game with Iowa State, lost 16-13. So how many teams can lose 3 games and all 3 losses, they give up 20 or less? That you're not like giving up 30 or 40 in any of these games. And we know that Iowa, they're not going to have high-scoring games at all. But, they've come close in a lot of these games. And just Kirk Ferentz, who has that, 100-year contract at Iowa because he's never getting fired.
Maybe not this game. This might be the blowout. So teams usually can't do it every game. They can do it for a while, but emotionally, I just don't see him getting up here, Kevin, at all.
And USC and Oregon next week. That's a big one. That's a really, really big one in Eugene. So that'll be an interesting game to see how the Trojans, but first got to take care of this game against Iowa on Saturday. So, Lee, we continue now with college football Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, going all through NFL back week 11. So what do you have going on with Paramount Sports?
Well, I mean, Sundays have been incredible. 31-9 run last 8 NFL Sundays. So the NFL Sunday Golden Ticket, $197. You're going to get 5 selections for 4 straight weeks. Like I said, 31-9 record, over 78%. No one can touch that. So that's available. November continues every game through the end of the month. You can get these Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday games. They pay just the same. We hit both Maction games last week, and we're rolling. So you want to hop on board, just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. And also during the week, check out different shorts that we have on the YouTube channel, as well as the podcast. You could type in Locked On Bets, find on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. We'll be back with you coming up on Wednesday for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.